celiac disease and other food allergies and intolerances. If you've got them, let's talk. You can talk in the chat. I've got to get my computer up and running now, my laptop. It went to sleep yesterday during my live, and I had to recharge it. The battery died. So there I am from yesterday. I'm wearing something different today. I know it's backwards. This just says Winslow, Arizona. My friend gave it to me. Thank you, Barbara. All right. It says my battery is low, 1%. It was charging all night. Oh, man. Oh, that's bad news. It was charging all night. It showed completely green. That is not a good sign that it's only at 1%. My laptop might be dying on me. Did you guys see a dog on the floor when I bent down and picked up my computer? I've got one dog down here, and I don't know where the other two are. Let's see, turn this a little bit. Hi, Guy, whoever's in here. We're talking food allergies and intolerances. Oh, now it shows 100%. Okay, now I'm going to unplug. I'm just having some laptop issues. Unplugging my laptop, and my computer wants to give me some weekly reports, which I don't care about. I used my laptop 56 minutes a day last week. Hi, Balaswamy. Wow, that's an interesting symbol in the chat. I don't know what that is. 6 people in here. Awesome. Hey, guys, if you have any, I don't really care about my Apple ID settings. If you have any food allergies or intolerances, now's the time to talk about them in the chat, because that's what I'm going to be talking about today is my food allergies and intolerances. But right now I'm looking at my computer because I need to get myself into the chat. I have an Apple. That is so weird. It just showed 1% a minute ago, and now it shows 100%. I need to get my Apple computer into the shop. They need to do, well, they need to do something. Oh, wow. My chat went nuts yesterday after I was gone. Come on. My computer's chewing. 5 people in here. Hey, guys, thank you for the thumbs up. Whoever did that, I appreciate it. I'm going to be talking about celiac disease. If you're a celiac, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear some of the brands that you eat, that you have found that are good. I can't eat a whole lot of celiac friendly foods because they have other things in them that I am allergic to. So my diet is very limited. Hi, Mark. Nice to see you. Hi, Cesar. You don't know celiac. Celiac is a very special genetic condition. It came from a Norway, Sweden area of the world, and it's just a genetic mutation that affects people's ability to process gluten. Hey, Father F. Hey, Jay. Hey, Jay, you've been in here before, right? Well, someone named Jay's been in here before. Doggone it, my computer is being really, can I just say it, constipated. I know this isn't an episode of Poop Talk, but I said constipated. It's backwards. I'm sorry. Myrtle Beach. Beautiful. First time. Hey, Jay. Doncaster Town Center on Friday. What does that mean, Neil? Mr. Singleton? I don't know what that means. Phoenix. Oh, Guy, are you guys hotter than anything today? Hi, Laxmi. Hey, Steve. Thanks. Thanks. Appreciate it. My computer is still being really stupid, so I can't chat. I apologize. You know what? I'm just going to see if I can do a reset. Oh, wow. It decided it wanted to go to sleep right away. Let me see. No. There we go. Play Warsaw by Lovejoy. I don't know what that means. Hey, OG. Profit. Hey, Lexi. Cat and Jack. Hello. Hey, Aja. So I have celiac disease. It just means that I have some genetic mutations in my body that make it so that I can't process wheat, rye, or barley protein. Hey, Steve D again. Yeah, you're hot. I don't play songs. I don't know how to play a song in a live chat. My gosh. Let's see. I want to quit my computer. I'm talking to myself. I do that a lot. Zoom wants to restart. God, this iMac, this right here, so jacked up. It thinks I want to open up all these programs that I never want to open, so I definitely need to take it in and have it looked at. So I can't process wheat, rye, or barley proteins, which is called, it's a gluten. And I can process other glutens, but not those three. So when I do get exposed through eating or inhaling, like if I'm in a place where there's a lot of flour dust, if I inhale it, it gets into my sinuses and then it drains down through whatever into my stomach, I get sick. So I have to be really careful. We have goats and ducks, and their food has a ton of the gluten in it that I can't have. Really, Cat and Jack, awesome. I'm a not only a mother Latoya, I'm also Latoya Jackson. Yeah, right. I'm also a grandmother. That's why I'm a nana. Anyway, we have food for the goats and the ducks that has gluten in it, and I can handle it with my hands, but if I don't wash them and then I pick up something to eat, like if I feed my animals and then on my way down the driveway, I stop at the blackberry patch to pick blackberries and eat them, I can get sick because the dust is on my hands and then it gets into my stomach. Franz, I was diagnosed uh, 2008, I think. 2008. Yeah, maybe 2007, but I think 2008 for sure. So it's been a long time. How was bingo? Didn't do bingo, Mitch. In fact, I don't even know if there is bingo around me. I'm in Northeast Tennessee, and I don't see a lot of bingo. I mean, shoot, man, town I used to live in California, they had bingo. I was there. In fact, that's where I took my husband on his 50th birthday. Bought him a recliner and took him to bingo. That was like, whoa. One day he's a young man, the next day he's an old man. Happy birthday. Chase, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Anyway, so I can't have the gluten. I have to be careful. If I'm dumping the feed sacks into the trash cans, we keep their food in trash cans to keep the mice out of it. And that dust goes up in the air and I inhale it, I get sick. So I have to be really careful around things like that. And the way I got diagnosed was because some people that get celiac also get what's called a celiac rash. And I had a rash for like 7 years. That's all. And I showed my husband's cousin, and she said, "Oh, you need to get checked out for celiac." So I did. I have one genetic marker for celiac disease. That means one of my parents gave me that genetic marker, most likely my dad. Captain, talking about a spirit. Oh, hey, my computer just decided to be sort of normal. I think I'm going to be able to get into the chat. Sorry, I'm super just like, I'm not diagnosed ADD, but sometimes my brain just goes off, left turn. Squirrel. There we go. There's my live. Okay. Thanks for joining me. I have terrible thumbnails. I got to turn my volume down. There we go. Okay. Now where's the chat? There you guys are. Okay. I'm just going to say hi in here so you guys know I'm here. I'm alive. That's me. All right. So I got the blood test and they said, yes, I had one marker for it, which could give me celiac. If I had two markers, then I would for sure have celiac, but I only had the one. So one of my parents gave me that marker. And it's just a genetic mutation, as I said before. I do not know that guy, C. Thank you for liking my hair. I like it too. I haven't done anything to it yet. Just brushed it. Anyway, I got checked for the antibodies. Now, that's what your body creates to fight the celiac. It creates antibodies and it causes that to show up in your blood. My blood did not show the antibodies. So the doctor I went to said, "You don't have celiac disease. Why don't you go see a psychiatrist or something similar?" So, Woodstock? Oh dear. I don't have any moderators to moderate the chat. Sorry, guys, if things get kind of off the rails, I'll go in there and do a little cleanup. Just so you know, we don't do politics. We don't do much religion. I am a Christian. I do talk about things Christian wise, but I don't do war conflicts. I don't do anything like that. I generally talk about my life. So that's it. We do a lot of drag racing and farm things and my ducks and my goats and stuff. So anyway, this doctor kind of just like pushed me out the door and said, don't come back. So I didn't go back to him. But what had happened is I had gone off gluten 100% before my test. And then when I found out I had to be back on gluten, that was when we were getting ready to go to Africa. So that's why I know it was 2008. For that trip to Africa, there's no way I could have survived 2 weeks with no it would have been really, really impossible to eat gluten-free. So I thought, well, I'll go back on gluten in order to get the antibodies in my blood before the blood test. So I contacted the top celiac doctor in the country at the time. Can't remember his name now. And he liked, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Hey, thank you, John Wayne. You know John Wayne, I loved your movies. My husband's family is friends with your daughter, Melinda. Anyway, so I went back on the gluten while we were in Africa. I ate noodles, I ate bread, I ate whatever they brought me for dinner, fried chicken, goat, whatever they brought me. And I was miserable. Not as if you do it every single day for a long time, your body eventually forgets how miserable you are. So I wasn't as miserable as I would be today if I got exposed. But I wasn't my best. And I came home, contacted the top celiac doctor in the country because I was really not happy. When I'm on celiac, I have restless leg syndrome. I have a foggy brain. I'm exhausted all the time. I'm bloated. I'm gassy. Okay. I trigger warning. I fluctuate between constipation and diarrhea. I know, you guys, right? It's a horrible thing. Being in Africa with all of that, with only latrines. I was headed for a latrine one time. I was on a church compound where the orphans all hung out during the day. And I started heading for one of the latrines because I really, really had to pee. And a little boy ran over to me and he said, "No, no, 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 that's not for you. That's not for you." The latrines are disgusting. And he was embarrassed that this American woman was going to see where he has to go to the bathroom. So I didn't go into the latrine. I can only imagine how disgusting it was. I can't tell you guys, but the latrines are just a hole in the ground that goes directly into a pit. And people miss the hole a lot. So that's the latrine. So he didn't want me to go in there. I actually had to hold my pee for like 14 hours that day. I had a friend and she and I were both, we were kind of like limiting how much we drank during the day, no coffee, no soda, all that stuff, because at noon we were supposed to go back to the compound where we were staying and have lunch. Well, that day they decided not to go back to the compound. So neither one of us had a place to go to the bathroom. We were in so much pain. Oh my gosh, I've never had to hold my pee that long. But anyway, I was miserable in Africa. So I emailed this doctor. And I asked him, "How long do I have to be back on gluten before I get my blood test?" And he said he didn't know, but he felt like maybe 6 to 8 weeks is what he said. So I went 6 weeks. That's all I could handle. I couldn't handle another 2 weeks eating gluten. I was really miserable. I was working at the time. I was teaching. I was in a situation where I couldn't just leave the classroom and use the bathroom because I couldn't. So I was really not a happy person. So at 6 weeks, I got my blood drawn, and there were not enough antibodies in my blood to show that I had celiac disease. All that really long story to tell you. Yes, I've been to Africa, but I have not used a latrine, and I failed my blood test. So the doctor told me in his kindest words that I was crazy and that I just needed to go home and call a psychiatrist. So I didn't do that. We do have better stories because we have more experience. Although I had some pretty good stories even when I was younger. I hitchhiked in Costa Rica when I was 15. I almost got kidnapped in Guatemala when I was 15. Yeah, I've got some stories. Oh my goodness. We had some fun in Central America, let me tell you what. I don't want to dye my hair, dude. I used to. I let it go. I let it go. I like being taupe or beige, beige hair, taupe hair, whatever. Aw, you do the most. Gorgeous is a wonderful word. Thank you so much. Hello, I'm a furry. No, you're not, sweetie. You're either a man or a woman, and you like to dress up in costumes. And I hope you don't use a litter box because that's disgusting. If you were truly a furry, like whatever it is, you would probably eat furry food, not human food, right? I'm sorry that you have that mental illness. I do have family. I have children, grandchildren. I have a mother. I have cousins, aunts, and uncles. Yeah, a husband. See, husband. And even when I'm not married, I wear a fake wedding ring. I don't like to be bothered. Um, why am I shouting you out, King Ice? I'm good, thank you. So anyway, I don't have an official diagnosis, but I do have celiac disease and I don't like being exposed. So I'm very limited in what I can eat. But what makes it worse is I'm also allergic to a lot of the celiac friendly foods, or well, I shouldn't say that, to the gluten-free foods that people eat who have celiac. For instance, I'm allergic to almonds. Almond flour is a big part of gluten-free bread and desserts like cakes and donuts. Uh, I miss cakes and donuts. I miss cakes and donuts. So I can't have almond flour. I also miss almonds. I love to eat almonds. You know those candied almonds that come out around Easter time in the United States? I love those. Love them. Cat and Jack, thank you for the compliment on my hair. I think it looks good on me too. When it's really long, sometimes I stand behind people and I put my hair over their head like it's their hair, and it looks really funny on them. I do it to men and women, but it's not long enough right now to do that. It used to be down past my butt crack. Sorry. I used the word butt. Apologies. Vitamin D. Oh, absolutely. And vitamin B12. But almost every person in a developed country has a vitamin D deficiency, unless you work outside like my dad did. My dad was an outside worker and he was in the sun almost every day. So, yeah, I do take a vitamin D supplement, a really good one that shows up in my blood work in a very short period of time. And I take a B supplement. In fact, thank you for reminding me. I need to take it. What time is it? I need to take it in the next hour or so. Otherwise, I'll be up all night. I'm not single. I wear a ring that's real. When I'm not married, I wear a fake ring because I'm a weirdo. All right. Hey, Tay or T. No, too harsh. I'm not quite 100 years old. I've got a few years to go before I hit 100. I don't think I want to live to be 100 at all. So I'm allergic to almonds. I'm allergic to cauliflower. A lot of the gluten-free pizza dough is cauliflower based. So I can't eat gluten-free pizza sometimes. And I'm allergic to soy, and soy is in a lot of gluten-free foods as well. So I'm very limited. I can't just go into a gas station mini mart and buy something to eat when I'm traveling. So a lot of times I go long times without eating anything because I forget to pack food before I go on a road trip. I eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables, although I'm allergic to citrus. What else am I allergic to? Well, I told you cauliflower. I can't eat cabbage. I miss cabbage. That's I find it very spicy. I can't eat any peppers, speaking of spicy. So I can eat black pepper and white pepper because that's a totally different thing. But the pepper plant, I can't eat bell peppers, jalapenos, no peppers. Terribly allergic to peppers. They give me really bad asthma. As far as I know, that's the only thing they give me. Soy affects my skin. It affects my skin that you can see, and it affects the skin in my sinuses and in my ears and probably in my digestive system. It affects everything. Hey, Lil Nay. Mark, Mark, shut up. Okay. In fact, if I can, I'm just going to delete that. You're a weirdo. Let's see, we're going to remove that. Mark, be better. Be a better person. Okay. Race, I have not tried the carnivore diet because I need more nutrition than that, but I do eat a lot of meat. I eat goat, sheep, beef, pork, chicken, turkey. I used to eat rattlesnake when I lived on a ranch where we had a ton of rattlesnakes. I eat meat. I'm a meat eater big time. In fact, on my plate at night, that's kind of the most that I eat. Venison, gosh, all kinds of things. See, Jules, I wish I could mod you, sweetie. I don't know you well enough. I would love to have a couple of moderators in here. That would be awesome. Beef sticks, Sheila. Oh, that's funny. I have a friend named Sheila, and her last name is almost exactly yours. Beef sticks, no, because they almost always have pepper in them. It says spices, but it's almost always pepper. It gives me really bad asthma. But I eat a lot of eggs. We raise ducks. I eat duck meat, big one. And I eat duck eggs. So, yeah, I eat a lot of meat. um, what do I have to take you on a date, Nana? Well, first of all, you'd have to ask my husband for permission, and he would probably say no because I'll tell you what I told. I used to work at the fair. I was a teacher during the school year, and then during the summer, I traveled. I had friends who had a food trailer, and they sold things like fresh French fries or cinnamon rolls or chocolate chip cookies. At one point, they did fresh squeezed lemonade. And I worked in their booths, and I loved it. I got sick a lot when I worked in their their chocolate chip cookie factory. That one sucked. But anyway, I had this young man, and he was a good probably close to 20 years younger than me. And every morning he came to the booth and he got a cup of coffee. And the coffee always had a discount because he was a vendor. I don't know what he was selling, but he was from Israel. He knew I was married. My teenage daughter was there working with me. And the last day of the fair, he came over and he said, I want to take you on a date. He said, every day I come here and I buy coffee. I said, yes, you do. He said, every day I pay for my coffee. I said, yes, you do. And you get a discount because you are a vendor every day. Yes. Then he said, now you need to do something for me. Oh, that's interesting. He said, I want to take you on a date for dinner. I said, well, I'm married. My husband wasn't there at the time. That's a funny story, though. He did come visit me. He had already visited me. And this guy met my husband. This guy's a weirdo. Anyway, I don't know what his game was, but apparently he thought I was, interested. I wasn't. I smiled. I sold him his coffee every morning. That was all. I did that to hundreds of people. And believe it or not, the real Jerome, I'm not in a mood for that sort of stuff. So just shut up. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, I use the shut up word. He met my husband and he still asked. Okay. Parents, shooting up is bad. That is true. Shooting up is bad. Anyway, even shooting like a pew pew in the air is bad. That's stupid. Don't do that. Don't shoot a warning shot. No, you either aim and do what you need to do or don't pull that trigger. Okay, anyway, back to my story. Where was I? Oh, the Israeli guy. So he said, I want to take you to dinner. My boss was sitting behind me. He was reading a newspaper. That's how long ago it was. And he's listening because he knows, because I chewed these guys up and spit them out when they got frisky with me. And I said, "Well, if you took me to dinner, I would fart." And my boss was behind me because celiac disease, that is the first way I know within about 10 to 20 seconds of taking a bite. That is how I know I've been exposed and how I know I'm going to be miserable for the next 8 to 10 hours and how I know I'm going to be sick for a couple of days and how I know I'm not going to absorb nutrients for several months and I might have the lovely celiac rash for a year. I know within seconds of taking a bite, and it causes horrible gas. Like I can smell a celiac fart in the grocery store, and I want to go find that person and say, "Hey, you got to stop eating gluten because these farts are out of control." AA, you are not just getting removed, but you are on timeout. I'm talking about farts, not you, my friend. You can hang out, but in 10 minutes you can comment again. How's that? Okay. Let's see. Here we go. We're just going to put that one on timeout for 30 minutes and he can go talk somewhere else. There are plenty of live feeds you can go to where someone isn't intent on talking about farting, diarrhea, constipation, and trying to use a latrine in Africa. That's my specialty. If you want to go to a chat and talk about Palestine, I 100% welcome you to do that. It needs to be talked about, just not in my chat. Fermented monoxide. Celiac is like a fermented monoxide smell. It is so bad. It is so bad. Okay, Pete, shut up. Haktua. Oh, gosh, shut up. She disappeared, right? No, we're not going to fart on pause. Shut up, you guys. You're ridiculous. I'm going to put you on timeout. Yeah, I definitely need a mod. Anyway, y'all are cowards. Whatever. Okay, so where was I in this disgusting tale? Talking about, oh, yeah, the Israeli guy. So my boss is behind me and I can hear him snort. Oh my gosh. If anyone knew my farts, it was my boss. The poor guy. Oh, hey, Sheila. Oh, shoot. What was that comment? Chat is moving so fast. I can't eat most things like you. Raw veggies aren't great. I'm sorry. Chat's moving so fast. I don't know how to slow it down. Let me see if I can slow. I don't know how to slow down chat, you guys. I apologize. Let me see. Let me move over here. No, I'm not going to report myself. I should report myself. I'm talking about farting. So the Israeli guy finally went away. So I can't eat a lot of stuff. The wheat, rye, and barley are out. I can't just go to a bar with my husband and have a beer, but I can have, oh gosh, what do they have? Is it a seltzer? There's these drinks and they're bubbly and they have like a fruity essence about them. And there's probably, I'm just going to guess, a 5% alcohol. So good. I could be an alcoholic on those things, but I won't because they're expensive. But I'm mostly a cheap date. If I order the whole plate, I'm not a cheap date, but I will kill you in the car on the way home. And that's just a fact. I can't drink lemonades the Saint because I'm allergic to citrus. Such a pain in the butt to feed. My husband's really good about keeping me gluten-free, though. Oh, loyalist, shut up. Hey, you're just going away. You are being hidden. So you can say all you want to, loyalist. You can say nasty, nasty things for the rest of the time. You can make comments on all of my videos, my short videos, my regular videos. You can make all kinds of comments, but you are actually silenced. Can't see you anymore. All right. So the Israeli went away. Do you guys want to hear about the time my husband visited me? It's totally separate from celiac disease. Ha, townful, that's a fact. I worked in grammar schools for 11 years as an artist in residence. I taught theater arts to kindergarten through 6th grade. And I did work with a group of other theater artists, and we didn't write the curriculum, but we fixed it because a bunch of let's see, there was a principal involved and some administrators. There was a superintendent involved. They wrote this perfect curriculum for theater arts for kindergarten through 6th grade. And all of us actors and actresses and teachers, we all came in to view the curriculum. And it was so bad that, I mean, I didn't say anything in the meeting, but I went home and I called my girlfriend. She had been there as well. And I said, Diane, what do you think about that curriculum? And she said, I think I need to quit. I can't teach that curriculum. Here's one of the things, the only thing that really stands out on with me with it was they expected kindergartners, and we're talking 4 to 5-year-olds, mostly 5-year-olds, maybe a couple of 6-year-olds. They expected them to recite memorized lines from like a play. I had one little girl come to class with a stuffed animal. We had children sucking their thumbs. We had children putting fingers in their orifices they shouldn't have been. We just tried to keep them clothed and keep their hands to themselves so they didn't spread their viruses to other children in the classroom. We really, excuse me, it was like a 30-second. These children were expected to memorize and recite a 30-second, basically monologue. I'm going to guess 90% of you can't do that in the chat. Memorize a 30-second monologue? I mean, I have to because I'm an actress. I've memorized some really funny monologues. I have one about a serial killer. Me? There's nothing funny about serial killers, but apparently I like to kill the men I date in the monologue. It's hilarious. It got me a role in it wasn't a movie, it was a concept film that producers will create in order to shop their film idea to other producers to produce a movie that can go into theaters, which this one succeeded. But I performed my monologue in front of a producer, and he was laughing out loud during my monologue. I was a murderous person. That was funny. Yeah, Cure, you are hidden from the channel. There you go. Celiac and no citric. Yeah, right, Joe? I am not lactose intolerant. That's one thing my allergist from a few years ago said. He could not believe I'm not lactose intolerant. I can eat ice cream. Like, I love ice cream. I can eat ice cream. I can't eat ice cream with almonds in it or chocolate chips or cookie dough. So I do miss a few ice creams, but I can eat chocolate ice cream all day long. I can eat vanilla, strawberry, although strawberry is nasty because it's almost always artificially flavored. I can eat sherbet, all the fun stuff. I can eat that. Mochi. Oh my gosh, the little 6-packs with the mochi balls in them in the freezer section. All day. And I can eat seafood. I could be an expensive date. If I go to a restaurant and they have lobster with butter, I can't have margarine because almost all margarine has soy in it, but I can eat lobster dipped in real butter. And if I haven't been exposed to gluten in a long time, I can actually have garlic in my butter. Now, I can't have garlic or onions if I've been exposed to gluten because that causes a nuclear fart. And that's the one that actually kills people. CJ, you may have seen me before, honey. I'm on TV and in movies, but not very many. The TV shows I was in, I was just background. And the movies I've been in, they didn't make it. Well, one of them made it to the theater. I shouldn't say that. Who was the lead actor? I was in it with, what's his name? Cole Hauser. I was in a movie called Paparazzi with Cole Hauser. He's in Yellowstone. He's the dreamboat guy in Yellowstone, right? Well, I was with him when he was a lot younger and a lot skinnier. I think Paparazzi came out in 2004. And I had a scene with him, and the camera was in my face. And I am such a good actress that he looked terrified of me. Paparazzi, I highly recommend that movie. You'll be on the edge of your seat. Hey, someone just called me a silver fox. It was not sci-fi. Paparazzi was about a famous actor, Cole Hauser, and his wife, and I think they had a child, and there was a car crash, and there was some retaliation. It was very much Clint Eastwood-esque, I think you would say. And my daughter was in boot camp when I was filming it. And then, so I told her about it. So then she was at her first base where she was. And she called me one day and she goes, Mom, have you gone to see Paparazzi? And I said, No, no, that's a B flick, because I knew the actors that were in it and they were mostly B flick actors. And she said, Oh no, you've got to go see it. And this wasn't a girl who was into those kind of movies. She was not into those kind of movies. It's very much an action movie. I mean, we're talking serious retaliation in this movie. It was very juicy. I only was there for filming one night. I was a background actress of the red carpet scene, and you guys will know what that is when you watch the movie. I'm in there and I'm wearing a gray sweater suit. I was supposed to be walking the red carpet in a pair of high heels and a skimpy dress, and I'm super glad they didn't put me down there because it was really cold. I would have had hypothermia. So I had a long sleeve gray sweater and a pair of knit pants and a little shirt, and I was quite warm. And one of the other background actors, who he was playing security, I think he had access to hot coffee, and he kept bringing me hot coffee. And the other actors were so jealous. They're like, "Hey, what do I have to do to get hot coffee?" I said, "I don't know. Maybe befriend one of the actors that's close to the coffee pot." So I was in there and I was being very professional. And in between scenes, I wasn't talking. I was just listening to what the director said, which is what you're supposed to do. Someday I'll probably teach a class on how to be a good background actor. And I made eye contact with the director and he said, "You come down. You in the gray, come down." It's like, I got to bump up to featured background. Featured background actress. The vegan teacher who made their pet eat vegetables all day. That is stupid to make. Well, if it's a pet iguana. Nah, my dogs are carnivores too. Anyway, so I got to do a scene directly with Cole Hauser. We worked at it for probably a half an hour. And then I was dating my husband. Were we married? No, I think we were just dating. And I had my younger teenage daughter was still at home. And so after I talked to my older daughter and she said, "You've got to go see it. It's so good." I said to my husband, and he's a guy, so of course he wants to go see it, right? It's retaliation. "Hey, Joe, maybe I'm related to you and your sister. Probably ought to check our DNA. I do have some questionable connections popping up on Ancestry, but they're second cousins, but I don't recognize them. I don't recognize them at all. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm not watching chat. Is it out of control? I don't know. So my husband said, I'm 62, sweetie, whoever asked. My husband said, "Yeah, let's go." So our first movie date was going to see me in a movie at the movie theater. It was like a bucket list for me. I was kind of excited, but I really didn't have a lot of hope in the movie. I didn't want to waste my money. I think it was probably like $7 a ticket back then. What is it now? 20? My scene was cut out of the movie. I'm still there in the red carpet scene. You can still see me in my gray suit. I had brown hair, kind of chestnut colored. I might have been in it 3 times, just, different camera angles and stuff. But my scene with Cole Hauser was cut. I still got paid. Well, first movie date, Joe. First movie date. We'd been dating a long time, but we hadn't gone to the movies. We liked to ride motorcycles and, go to the lake, hang out, do stuff like that. Watched her be getting mad about me saying this shy, like I have her paused. I can't hear. I don't know what that means. Jack Wilson, hey there. It is called Paparazzi, starring Cole Hauser back in 2004. He was just a young guy. He was a good actor, though. He pretended like he was terrified of me, which is what he was supposed to be. I was supposed to be an obnoxious Midwestern fan who had a mega crush on him and just wanted to touch him. I didn't know who he was. He looked kind of familiar to me. I had obviously seen him in something, maybe on a soap opera. I haven't really looked into his career. Okay, Mark is talking psychology, home economics, Earth average. My goodness, look at you. Seismic. It was not sci-fi, amen. It was just a drama. It was kind of a thriller, a thriller because the retaliation was, I mean, like I have heart palpitations, and I would guarantee you I had heart palpitations during that movie. Um, James, you wouldn't be terrified of me. Stalking who, Michael? Stalking. I don't know if I'm stalking anyone. But I did at one point before I was dating my husband. We knew each other for like at least 4 months before we started dating. And I told him once when I saw him, we met at a biker bar. I said, "Hey, I've got an opening in my stalker calendar if you want to be one of my victims." And he said, "Well, you know where I live and I don't lock my doors." That is no fun at all, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what's the fun of being a stalker if they basically invite you into their house? And he hasn't got rid of me either since 20 plus years. I'm still stalking the guy. Although right now I'm not stalking him. He's on his way home. He's been gone. Let's see. Somebody sounds creepy. What you're not changing, you're choosing. Hey, that's a fact. So go see Paparazzi. I will type that in here. P-A-P. Is it two P's? P-A-R-A-Z-I? Paparazzi. I think I spelled it wrong. Paparazzi. Let's see. Paparazzi movie. There you go. That one you can see. Paparazzi. That's the name of the movie. Good morning. Where are you watching me from? Where are you watching me from, I should say? True Bamunkin. Two girls that went to high school with you but didn't even know until 4 years after graduation? I was stalked by an ex-boyfriend and he had a gun. Good morning when Larry sings. Hey, Ontario, Canada. Your coast, Silly Nacho. Oh, I see, Silly Nacho. Yeah. Well, you are getting hidden on the channel, so you can say all the things you want to say and nobody can see them. So, Silly Nacho, you can go away. And somebody said he's from Israelian. I don't know what that means. But if you're in Israel, I understand that. Yes, parents shooting up is bad. He was, okay, it was the 1980s. It was the early 1980s. His family, I lived in a fairly small, it was incorporated, so it was a city, but it was fairly small. His family was worth $20 million at the time. And that's what he estimated they were worth based on their land holdings, business, and stuff. I was blue collar. I had nothing. I was working at the time that I met him, I was only 15. And then when I was 18, he and I started dating. Joe, they're always in here. I just have to put them on timeout when I pay attention. Okay, there we go. There we go. We're going to hide that user because I don't ever need to see them in my chat again. There we go. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. So my stalker boyfriend was a very sympathetic character. We were actually engaged. I broke off the engagement. He was extremely violent. And at some point, I finally figured out how to get away from him. But the problem was every time I got away from him, he found me and beat the crap out of me. So it wasn't safe to leave him. It was very dangerous. In fact, after I finally did break up with him, I had a guy ask me out 2 or 3 times, and I always told him no. But on the third time, I finally said, "Look, the stalking wasn't a word at the time. I I said, I'm being followed because stalking wasn't a word by an ex-boyfriend, and he has a gun, and I am concerned for my safety, and I would be concerned for your safety. So if you're willing to possibly get shot and killed, I'll go out to dinner with you. But otherwise, you should stay away from me. So he did. Another guy asked me out, and I told him the same thing. And he said, well, I'll just wear my gun. He was a police officer. So he brought his gun on our date. I felt very safe. But at some point, I was working 12-hour shifts. It was a 45-minute drive to get to work and to get home from work. And I was working, I think I was working days at the time, but I would leave really early in the morning and I would get home pretty late at night, or in the, 14 hours later, I would get home. And I was in bed asleep. I said he was a sympathetic character. At some point, he had talked my roommate into giving him a key to our little house. I don't know why he did that because she knew we were broken up, but he let himself in the front door, and I woke up and he was standing over my bed. I knew he had a gun. He had already done terrible things to me. The police wouldn't help me get a restraining order, even though he talked to them on the phone after he had brutalized me one night. He ripped my phone out of the wall because I was on the phone to my dad saying, Dad, come help me. And so my dad called the police, but the police went to the wrong house. Anyway, eventually the police made it and he talked to them on the phone. This is way before cell phones, ladies and gentlemen. It was before stalking was a word. It was before cell phones were a thing. And it was back in the day when a family worth $20 million could put enough fear in the local law enforcement that they would not allow a terrified 20, 21-year-old woman to get a restraining order. So, yeah, I remember looking up and seeing his outline above me on the bed. And I thought in my head, I am so tired of this. Just shoot me and get it over with. I didn't say it, but I thought it. And I rolled over and I went back to sleep. And I woke up when my alarm went off and I thought, wow, he didn't kill me last night. And then I went to the hardware store. Probably not then. I probably had to go to work, but I think I was only working 5 days a week at the time, 5 12s, because at one point we were working 7 12s. But I went to the hardware store and got a kit and I rekeyed the lock on the front door. And my roommate kept leaving the back door unlocked because our house was so old. It was a tiny little duplex and there was no room in the kitchen for a big refrigerator because when this house was built, refrigerators were just a tiny little ice box. So the refrigerator was on the back porch and there was no door on the back porch. There was a screen and it was super flimsy and anyone could have gotten in through the screen. She kept leaving that back door unlocked. So I disabled the lock on the back door so it always locked when it closed. And I rekeyed the front door and gave her a new key and asked her not to give a duplicate to my ex-boyfriend who was stalking me and let himself into the house. She was in danger that night too. This guy was freaking nuts. And I mean, it took me a long time to get over the terror of knowing that he could find me. That was really scary. Stalking has been a thing. Bye, Halo pals. You don't need to come back if you're okay with that. It was heavy, Robert. We went from farts to stalking. What happened? I was pretty happy talking about nuclear farts. Okay, if you want to see me in any television shows, I think it was on Netflix, 13 Reasons Why, but again, I'm background. I don't have any speaking roles in a TV show. 13 Reasons Why and Sense8. I don't know where Sense8 was. I think it was also Netflix. I've never seen either show. Hey, English Pala. I don't speak that language. Yeah, Robert, pretty darn heavy. And that man actually, within a very short period of time, he was engaged to someone else. But the weird thing was we were broken up for 3 or 4 months, and his mom was still planning our wedding. She didn't know we were broken up. He didn't tell her. He didn't tell anyone we were broken up, and I just disappeared the best I could. I was working 12-hour days. I was really, really busy. They just thought I was working, and they were worried about me. So she was still planning my wedding 3 or 4 months after we had broken up, and I finally had to get a hold of her. The night he really brutalized me, and the police came, and she and her husband came. I had called them and said, "You've got to come over here. Your son just beat the crap out of me for the last time." And they were very concerned that he was going to end his own situation on Earth. But he was babysitting his nephew. That was the weirdest. I don't know if his nephew was in the car when he came in. He was actually, parents shooting up, he was on steroids. He and I were bodybuilders at the time, and I was clean. I was 100% clean, which is why I never worked hard enough to compete. Because at the time, I think Rachel McLish was the only one who wasn't using steroids. She was absolutely stunning, but everybody else was using steroids, and I knew I couldn't compete. There were not two different competitions. Like they didn't have a clean competition and a dirty competition. So, but I was lifting weights, and unbeknownst to me, he was taking steroids. So he had roid rage, is what he had, and he ended up dying just a few years later from the result of the steroids. He had total organ failure, and he actually died. It was really sad for his family. For me, it took me about 10 years after he passed away to get over. I might see someone from behind on the sidewalk and think it looked like him, and I would instantly have a panic attack. Not so bad that I couldn't breathe, but so bad that I was looking for an exit. Like if I was walking down the sidewalk, I was going to turn around and go the other way. If I was driving, I had to make sure I was still aware of how to drive because I just lost the ability to really function. And it took about 10 years for that to go away. That was really tough. Yeah, Robert, I have no choice. And he has been gone for, he passed away in 1984. Been a long time. And his parents and I went through a rough patch where we weren't talking for a few years, but then we reconnected, and that's good because I really do love his parents. I don't know, his mom is in her 90s now. I don't know if she's okay, and his dad has a lot of health problems, but I love them very much. They are very good people, and they didn't know their son was brutalizing me. You create your own problems. I can see where you would think something like that, Donald T. How much energy? I don't know what you mean, James. And if it's nasty, you don't need to say it because I'm not here to be nasty. That's where you can go to OF. You guys know what OF is? And now you drive a Super. I drive a freaking Scion. I bought it from my mom when she turned in her driver's license. It's a cute little car. I like it. It's a Zoom Zoom. It seats 5, but not comfortably. Yeah, I drive a little Scion. A vintage picture of me? No, I don't think so. Hi from India. Nice to see you. Who's sending me messages on my phone? Oh, no, I don't need to answer that. I've been to Firenze, Giuseppe. I have been to Firenze. Yes, indeed. In fact, I spent 2 weeks in Italy with this monster I've been telling you guys about when we were not engaged yet. We were still dating. And I traveled with a woman. We went over there. He went over there to buy Ferraris, used Ferraris to bring over to the United States and sell. He had an exotic car dealership. Old pictures of me. Yeah, I've got some old pictures, but I don't have them like to pull out of my wallet. Do I have a wallet? I don't even have a wallet. Yeah, I traveled around with Cindy. Now, he went over there because he had a friend from high school who was over there and his wife. I had never met either one of them that I know of. And we got there, and Cindy and I hit it off. That was his wife. The friend was in medical school. So the two of them, I think we must have planned it for a break in his schooling. And the two guys went around and looked to buy Ferraris. And I don't know if he bought a Ferrari on that trip. I think he did. I think he bought a white, gosh, I don't want to get it wrong, but I think it was like a De La Rosa or something like that. He had a Pantera at home and he had a Dino at home. And I think he bought a bigger than the Dino. I know the Dino is like the Timu of Ferraris. I loved that Dino though. It was really cute. Anyway, Cindy and I traveled all over Italy on the train. I had a Eurail pass and we went to Venice, we went to Firenze, we went all over Rome, looked at things because they lived in Rome. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun because I was with Cindy. And then he and I rode the train up through everything and we went up into Sweden and we went to Uppsala and he had an ex-girlfriend from high school in Uppsala and we stayed with her and her family and she and I hit it off and we had a blast together. That was really fun. And then he and I went over to England, went to Ipswich for a wedding and I got sick. I was sick for a week and then I flew home early because I was sick. I was going to go down to Germany for another week and hang out with a couple of guys from high school that I had gone to high school with. One was the German exchange student, and the other one was a guy that I dated a couple times. Not much, just I mean, we were friends at the time, I guess, but not really close. Anyway, cut my trip short. Did not end up going to Germany because I was really sick. I just want to come home and curl up in a ball. Hey, Japan, awesome. The Dino was kind of a Fiat black frame. It really was. It was, I mean, it had the Ferrari emblem on it, but Fiat and Ferrari were married at the time. Hey, Rick, that's an interesting question. You have been hidden from the channel. So you can say all the nasty things you want to say, Rick, and you will be the only one who can see them. So type away. Have a good time. Enjoy yourself. We have a site called OnlyFans where you can go and ask those kind of nasty questions, and women will actually show you. Or you can go to a number of channels on here that will answer those kind of questions. I'm here to talk about farts, stalker ex-boyfriends, and food allergies. So that's where we are, sweetie. And I guess I did talk a little bit about being a teacher. It was a lot of fun. It was exhausting. My classes were they were 45 minutes long, and I would do no more than 7 in a day and no less than 4, pretty much. Hey, Papa. Brian. Yeah, farts. Only because I have celiac disease, and if I get exposed to gluten from wheat, rye, or barley, dangerous. Like just, you know how in some religions, when the woman is experiencing her monthly, Shark Week, the women have to go live in another in another house because their husband, I think it's the Jewish religion, the very strict Jewish religion, the women have to go live in a separate house. That's me after eating gluten. I'm an angel. Aw, I'm not really. I'm a human, not an angel. God did not make me an angel. So there you go. All right, how long have we been on here chatting about stupid things? Okay, Jay Dean, there you go. You are also being hidden from the channel, so you can leave all kinds of comments. Go to my videos, go to my shorts, leave nasty comments, nasty comments, and you're the only one who can see them. It's not a separate house. Okay, just a separate part of the house, because I know there's a woman named Miriam on here, and I think she goes to like a shed on their property. And she can't see her husband for that during Shark Week. Admiral Kirk. Hey, Jeffrey Dahmer is here. I've seen you before, Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, like I've seen you in other chats. Yes, you're right, Black Frame. It was made to honor his son Dino, and that is true. But it did have a Ferrari emblem on it, but I think it had a Fiat engine, probably. And I think it was a disappointment. No, Jeffrey, I'm not stalking you, sweetie. You came into my live feed. Let's not be confused. God, my legs are getting tired. Oh gosh. Hey, Nino. Nino Vea. I've not, you know what, Geese, when I was on the train going up into Europe, I didn't go to Portugal. I took a little chunk out of Spain. No, I didn't. No, I didn't go to Spain. France. I took a little chunk. The French were really rude. I wasn't there much. Just a little bit, and they stopped and they brought these inspectors on the train with a dog, a drug sniffing dog. Fiat body? I don't, I mean, it was the Dino body. It's very distinctive. If I could have a Dino today, I would. When I see them come up on the auctions, like Barrett Jackson, and I can't remember what the other one is. Oh man, I try not to drool. My husband watches it for other things. He's all into the American Muscle. But when I see a little Fiat, I go, "Mm." Now that stalker boyfriend knew, I'll admit, I was in my early 20s. I mean, I started dating him when I was 18. I broke up when I was 21, maybe 22. I had just turned 22, broke up with him. But I'd known him since I was 15. Kind of had a crush on him. He just drove a beat up old Pinto and a beat up old blue van. I didn't know he had any money at the time at all. But anyway, eventually it became clear he had money because he started driving around in, he had I think 2 or 3 Trans Ams. He had the anniversary edition and he had 2 white ones. And they were early Trans Ams. And then he had the one day he came to pick me up before I was 18. He just came to pick me up in the Pantera. And I don't know where I was going with this. Oh, I really liked the Porsche 911 SC. I just thought it was cute. I mean, I was very superficial at this age. I was hanging out with an exotic car dealer, and we would go to auctions and he would buy cars. And after I broke up with him, he went and I liked a maroon one. I wanted a maroon 911 SC. Like if I was getting a 25th anniversary gift and someone brought me a maroon 911 SC, I would be thumbs up. And he went to an auction and he bought a maroon 911 SC and he drove it to my mom's house. I don't even know where she was living at the time. And he said, "Hey, yeah, black frame. The Pantera was pretty sweet. It really was. And it really got down on the freeway. I mean, it was something. It was something. I must admit, it was something." So he goes to my mom's house and he drives up in this 911 SC and he says, "Hey, do you think Nana's Ranch," yes, that's my name, "would get back together with me if I gave her this car?" I I apologize. That's creepy. I wish I could stop, like cut out the sound, but if I mute myself, it'll stay muted for the rest of the video. My phone's got an issue. So I'm just gonna hawk up along on you guys. Yes, Ma. So my mom wasn't impressed with money or anything. I mean, when I was a little girl, one of my dad's best friends was the son of one of the top Hollywood directors of the time, the 50s and 60s. And I think he might have been passed away by the time, by the 70s, maybe mid or late 70s, whatever it was. My mom had been around the Hollywood people and she wasn't impressed. She wasn't impressed with flashy people or anything. I mean, eventually she did buy herself a couple of Porsches, but it didn't impress her. She was driving a classic BMW at the time, and it was just a piece of crap. She hated it. My dad never did fix it up for her to make it more comfortable. She was too short to drive it comfortably. So, no, she wasn't impressed by a fancy car. I apologize for my clock. It's going to say this 12 times. It's a very old grandfather clock, and we love it, but it's very inappropriate during chat. It's an attention seeker. It demands to be noticed when it walks into the room. Okay, now put itself on timeout. So Where's Jeffrey Dahmer? What is he saying? Is he being an idiot? I'm sorry to hear that. No, he's not being an idiot. Oh, yes, he is. That wasn't nice. Texas is beautiful. Hey, we almost bought property in the hill country. Ah, man, that suck to be there right now. Guy. Anyway, so then he shows up to my house. He pulls up in front of the house in this maroon Porsche 911 SC. My dream car in my early 20s. No, I was not impressed, ladies and gentlemen. It was no longer my dream car. He ruined it for me for a period of time. No, I was not willing to get back with a brutal man who probably would have killed me eventually for a car. Seems kind of tacky, very tacky. Yeah. Jeffrey Dahmer, that is your opinion. I agree with you. I'm trying to think of someplace I've been that I think is awful. Bakersfield, California. I used to refer to it as the armpit of California until I went to Fresno, California. And let's see. Oh gosh, what's the name of that town? Aaron Brockovich. That town that Aaron Brockovich highlighted in the movie, Aaron Brockovich. I've been there. Hey, Bob Street, if you need help, sweetie, call 911. Okay. Or start a GoFundMe. That would help. That would probably help. What's the name of that town? Hinckley, California. I've been to Hinckley, California. I decided that on my way home from a trip to Vegas with my mom, we would stop in Hinckley because I'd never been there before. We drove through all the time because, I mean, we drove past it and it intrigued me. We went to Hinckley. Remind me sometime I'll do a show all about my trip to Hinckley with my mom. It was noteworthy. It was awesome. Traumatic brain injury. That sucks. Yeah. Hi, Zypher. The TBI can cause the anxiety, huh? You need to get into deep, heavy prayer, my friend. TBIs are tough. My brother got a TBI when he was 12. I was 10. And he's much better now, but it affected the part of his brain that controls impulses. And so he doesn't have real good impulse control. He's in his mid 60s now, I think. Yeah, he's in his mid 60s now. So he's functioning. Zafir, I don't know about the good stuff, sweetie. Hope. No, I worked with Cole Hauser on a movie called Paparazzi, but I don't have a son named Cole. Trying to think if he was young enough to be my son in that movie. My character kind of just wanted to bring him home to the Midwest and feed him pot roast. That was kind of my motivation for my character, was I just wanted to bring him home, put a Christmas stocking on the mantle and feed him pot roast and, fatten him up a bit. He was a thin boy back then. Well, I don't know. A multimillionaire wanted to own me. Yeah, he and I were bodybuilders. I almost joined the military to get away from him. I didn't know why he was so violent and so crazy. Like he would break up with me and then he would come beat me up because we weren't together. That kind of stuff. It was just the weirdest thing. Oh gosh, where was my brain going? I don't even know anymore. Oh, Hope. Yeah, it is a 100 and something year old house. It's old lath and plaster, lots of lead paint, which I don't chew on. I have to be really careful. Ray, it's against the law for me to marry you, sweetie. I already have a husband. It's not recommended, not at all. I grew up in California, Black Frame, but I now live in Tennessee because um, people voted to ruin the state. Never me. I never voted to ruin California, but a lot of people did. So I moved to a place where I could have more freedom. For instance, I used to work in the city of San Francisco occasionally because I was working in film and television, and I would sometimes have projects in the city. I had a concealed carry permit issued by the sheriff in my county, passed the classes, did all the stuff. Really good aim, very good. I don't know how I'd be in a crisis situation, but if the person was right there in front of me, I'd be fine. So I would go to San Francisco and other Bay Area places to work occasionally. And one time when I was actually going into the city and I knew I was going to be there all day, I think we were filming Sense8 that day. No, we were filming a movie, not a TV show. Can't remember. Anyway, he said, "You're taking your gun, right?" And I said, "I can't because did you, Jeffrey? Did you see PTSD? Because I can kind of believe it, I guess. I probably live a little bit of it still. I do get scared. Like in really highly energetic emotional situations, I shut down. I just go to my bedroom and fall asleep. I can't engage in very emotional conversations for very long. I definitely shut down. Anyway, he says, "You're taking your gun, right?" Because I always carried, especially because I lived near enough to Fresno, California, that I went shopping quite a bit. And I said, "No, I can't," because they made it against the law to carry a gun in San Francisco. Can you imagine? They made it against the law for law-abiding, licensed people to carry a gun in San Francisco. And San Francisco is both a city and a county. They are the exact same. So if you live in the city of San Francisco, you live in the county of San Francisco, and vice versa. It is all the same. And he said to me, "I can bail you out of jail, but I can't bring you back to life if someone kills you. Please take your gun." So I took my gun. I've never had to use it. The only time I've ever unholstered my gun was when I was out in my yard at a previous ranch property that we owned, and there was a coyote on the other side of my chicken coop looking at me through the chicken coop, and I unholstered my weapon. I didn't squeeze off a round because the coyote, they're so smart. I mean, it wasn't afraid of me, but once it saw the gun, it knew to run. They're very fast. And then I saw my peahen, which is a peafowl. It's the female version of a peacock, is a peahen. I saw her down at the neighbor's, and she was just jumping straight up in the air, and then she'd land, and then she'd jump up in the air, and then she'd land. So I knew there was another coyote down there trying to attack her. So I went down there, and I had holstered my 380 at the time. And by the time I got down there, whatever had been bothering her was gone. So I didn't have to unholster my gun. Hey, Josh B. I'm sorry for the asthma, you guys. I really am. Sucks. We don't talk politics here because there are plenty of other channels that talk politics, and I would encourage you to ask that anywhere. I don't want to veer off into politics. I do drag races, not men in high heels and dresses and wigs with full makeup. I'm too jealous for that. Anyone who can run in high heels, I'm jealous of you. Moniker, we don't have a range on our ranch at this point, so I don't practice shooting. I need to. I need to set up a range. We've got 65 acres. I just need to set it up. And I think we're going to be doing that pretty soon. I need to practice. I need to practice unholstering, taking it off safety, aiming, and pulling the trigger. I really do. But coyotes are never going to be my target because they move too fast. I just have to be so careful. I mean, I can shoot if I'm in the holler, I can shoot across the holler, right? But if I'm at the top, should have used my inhaler before I started. If I'm at the top of the hill, I can't shoot because I have to be really careful where my bullet goes. But Ben, you asked a question about quail. We used to raise Coturnix quail, and we raised them for the eggs and the meat. And before we moved, I sold off all my quail, and we haven't gotten any new ones since. I would love to have quail again. I enjoy eating them. My husband doesn't enjoy eating them. He feels like it's too much work, but I do enjoy eating them. And I used to make hard-boiled quail eggs, and I would snack on those, and then I would make pickled quail eggs, the sweet variety of pickled. I think I did a savory one time too, though. I think I did one that was like garlic and dill. They were good. Quail eggs are so good. Love them. Just really hard to peel, right? And even hard to crack into to make like fried eggs, which I think I did once. I think because we had so many eggs, and I think I cracked probably 20 for my husband and I to have breakfast. It's ridiculous. Admiral Kirk, you keep saying that. Oh, you do have them, Ben. That's cool. We had, I'm going to say we probably had about 15 to 18. I think we bought 20 or 25, and then we lost quite a few. We bought the little babies, and we lost quite a few. And we just had a problem with the females being really territorial and beating each other up. Like at least one almost got scalped by her sisters. And so I had a hutch in my living room, and it had 2 levels on it, and it was the infirmary, and that's where we brought the sick ones while they were being stitched up and put on antibiotics and getting healed up. We almost always had a quail in our living room, and I love the sounds they make. At one point, we had a little cock in the living room, and I don't remember why he was injured because the males didn't really fight much. It was the females. God, they were vicious. And then at one point, I realized almost all the boys needed to go because our ratio of boys to girls was unhealthy for the flock. So I took out all but 1 or 2 boys and put them in my stomach. They were good. Hello. Oop. Nice to see you. Zephyr. No, a lot of people don't respect the fact that I have a husband. It makes me like some kind of delicious dessert to them, which is ridiculous. I'm bitter. I'm just bitter. I'm done with it all. I tell my husband when he's gone, I'm not doing it again. I'm moving to a little tiny 1-room shack with a couple of shotguns and my dogs and enough meat animals that I can survive without too much. Oh gosh, and I'll have a big garden, but I'll always carry, and I will open carry. I won't conceal carry. On my own property, I will open carry. Out and about in public, I'll conceal carry. And you're 26, you get it. Okay, cool. Yeah, you get it. Hey, Ray, that's awfully sweet of you, sweetie, to say that. Southern Italy, you have a big problem with wolves attacking goats or chickens and hogs destroying fields. Yeah, we had hogs destroying our fields, but we didn't have crops at a previous ranch property. We had 20 acres. We didn't have any crops. I'm trying to think if they came to the house. I don't think so because we were pretty fenced in. But they came to the ranch property and they turned things up, made it hard to mow. That's what they did. They made it hard to mow. So we had some neighbors that wanted to do some hog hunting. One of the brothers came up from the valley and the other brother was nearby. And we showed them where the hogs were turning up the field. It was up on the top part of our property. There was a real swampy area, and they were digging up the wild onions, which are delicious. I don't blame them for that. So they backed their pickup truck to a great spot where they had a good view. And they had their sleeping bags and their night vision, and everything was ready to go. They fell asleep. They woke up in the morning, and the entire meadow was torn to shreds, and they hadn't heard a single thing. They slept through it. Thank you for the compliment on my wig. I appreciate that. That was very kind of you. Yeah. People have asked me if I wear extensions. I don't. I'm not patient enough for that. And I'm also super cheap. Homelander, I am going to hide you as a user on the channel because I don't need that. If you want to go to other channels, there are other people that talk about stuff like that. Wolves. We had a coy wolf at our ranch property in California. And the reason I know it was a coy wolf is because years earlier, some people had wolves, and it was legal at the time if they were at least 10% dog, you could have them. So these were 90% wolf, 10% dog, or 10-ish. They couldn't be more than 90% wolf. So they bred them to, German shepherds and I don't know what all else. But at some point, the county changed the law and made it illegal to have wolves. So I used to go out to the property, and I'm thinking it was probably 2004, 2005, and I could hear in the distance wolves howling, and I had never heard it before. So, except on like TV shows, right? I realized it's not coyotes, it's not dogs. And I had a friend who had wolves, so maybe I had heard it, but it wasn't ringing a whole lot of bells, but it was ringing alarm bells. Let's put it that way. Hey, Siddharth, right now I'm talking about wolves. So the people let their wolves go. The lady that I knew that had wolves, they moved to either Wyoming or Montana and bought a whole bunch of property so they could take their wolves with them. They just left California because a lot of counties were making it a law. I don't think it was a state law. I could be wrong, but I think it was just county by county. Maybe it eventually became a state law. No more wolves. So these people just let them go. That was the word. Well, of course, wolves are going to breed with coyotes. And if they don't kill them, they're going to breed with dogs. So we had this coyote show up. It was before we had our whole property fenced. Not that that would have stopped this one, but we just had the chicken coop kind of sitting out in the middle of an open pasture. And I looked out my bedroom window and I saw it. It was really tall. It was super tall, like the tallest coyote ever. And it saw me in the bedroom window. When I saw it, I told my husband, there's a huge coyote out back circling the chicken coop. Well, I had a big window in my bedroom and it saw me and it stopped circling the chicken coop and started walking toward me with its head down, stalking me. I was in my bedroom in my bathrobe, minding my own business like I should have been. Well, my husband was heading out the door with the rifle. So he went out the back door. He closed the screen door behind him, which was a mistake because we had a 75, 80-pound Catahoula Weimaraner mix. And he did not intend for Daddy to go out and face off a coy wolf by himself. He folded that screen door like a piece of Wonder Bread, went through it, which is why we got a reinforced door the next time, and grabbed a hold of that coy wolf that probably weighed about as much as he did. And it looked like the Tasmanian devil from the old cartoons. You knew they were going around in circles. You could see it, but there was a lot of dust. It was California, it was dry, but you could hear it. They were both screaming. They were both screaming mad. But that coyote wolf was screaming in pain. And our dog they went around in circles, and then he shook it back and forth like the figure eight. And he let go eventually, and it took off running. And we never saw, to my knowledge, that coy wolf again. Our dog put the hurt on that thing, and he didn't have a mark on him. I don't know how he did it. That thing was taller than him. It wasn't as beefy as him, but it was taller than him. Man, that dog was awesome. But we did have to reinforce the screen door. Yeah, I am sorry that you guys lose so many to wolves. We've got livestock guardian dogs now, although our best boy died. And our girl, she came to the house to be a house dog. She's Jaja. She's in a lot of my short videos. You'll see her. I think yesterday I posted a video of her, or the day, yeah, it was yesterday, Saturday, because our neighbors were having a garage sale and she was a little bit upset. She's still kind of on ranch mode. Every stranger is the enemy. Every strange sound needs to be barked at and investigated. But those two dogs, boy, did they chase their fair share of coyotes off our property. But they weren't always out. So we lost thousands of dollars worth of ducks. The coyotes would come in and just decimate our duck. We raised ducks for the restaurant market in San Francisco. We had about 300 at one point, counting all of them. And that's a lot of babies because when all the girls go broody, I could have 150 babies. But we had 300 ducks at one point. And then we had to put all of them in coops because the donkeys couldn't keep the coyotes out. The dogs would jump the fence and chase them. And I was worried about their safety because they could be ambushed. So yeah, that whole operation, we had to build a bunch of coops and put the ducks in there. It really slowed down our deal. We were making our mortgage payments with ducks. No, we weren't. We weren't. We were paying for all of the food for all of the other critters with the ducks. That's right. When they got killed by the coyotes, they killed 2 mortgage payments worth of ducks. But we had horses, donkeys, chickens, quail, goats, sheep, ducks, guinea fowl, peafowl, dogs. And those ducks paid for everybody's food except ours. That's awesome. And it's delicious meat. Muscovy ducks. Check them out. I'll put it in the chat. At the time when we were raising them for the market, and that I think we stopped doing that in 2021. At the time, the breast meat on those ducks was worth $40 a pound. So we couldn't really afford to eat it. But we eat it now because I don't have very many. There's no restaurant market for it here in Northeast Tennessee. I've reached out to a couple of restaurants to see if they're interested, and they just didn't get back to me. I don't know what the deal is. It's really good meat. Super good. Hey, Lewis, you did say hi, huh? I'm not really paying too much attention. Bob Street, I can't help you, sweetie. You need to pray and you need to talk to your doctor. Anxiety, depression, and traumatic brain injury. That is not a hat trick I'd want to have. That's a terrible place to be. Yeah, the overprotective dogs, Black Frame, you are absolutely 100% correct. I have one little dog. I used to be a caregiver, and one of my ladies had this little blue heeler rat terrier mix. Really good with the rodents, super good with rabbits and squirrels. Oh, really good. But when my lady had to move into assisted living, the family asked me if I would take the dog because she and I had really bonded over the couple of years I was taking care of this lady. So I said yes, brought her home. She would abandon me for any stranger anywhere, anytime. In fact, her name is Victoria. I call her Queen Victoria. She's about 14 now, I think. She's sweet. She's getting deaf. She's getting blind. I shampooed my carpet yesterday. She didn't like it, so she peed on it. So I shampooed that spot again. Anyway, I was prospecting for gold at a claim in California one weekend, and she was with me, and she was hanging out with all the little kids that were there. And somebody came up to where I was working with this guy and said, "Hey, can you come get your dog?" I said, "What's wrong? What'd she do?" "Well, she got in so and so's car and they need to leave and she won't get out." She'd been playing with their kids all like for 48 hours and they were leaving and she didn't want to leave the kids. She wanted to go home with them. So I said, "Well, I can come down there, but you'll get there before I do," because I was walking. And this person was on a little motorcycle. I said, "Just offer her a hot dog." So they did. They got her out of the car and they were able to leave. She would go home with anyone. She wouldn't miss me. She just loves everybody. And then we've got the Catahoula, another Catahoula, our second one. He's purebred. They're very well known for being biters. Oh, Black Frame, I know all about, small dogs can be awesome. We had a 5-pound Chihuahua for years. We didn't rescue her. Her owner came to live with us when he was dying. And after he passed away, the family said, "You can keep her," which I was very happy about. We were madly in love with her by the time that happened. Anyway, our Catahoula, I'm not sure that he would protect me. I mean, I would like to think he would, but he might be a little bit um, Pandu, no, I have white hairs and I have brown hairs. That's why I'm taupe. I'm not gray, I'm taupe or beige. I'm in my boring beige years. And I'll never dye my hair purple unless they pay me enough money to do it. Like for a movie, I would do it for money, but it'd have to be a lot of money because if I'm gonna live with purple hair for, God, what would it take, like 3 years to get it out of my hair? You have to pay me a lot of money for that. Anyway, I don't know about the Catahoula. He can be fairly ferocious, but I'm not convinced he would protect me. He would protect Daddy for sure. I would love for him to surprise me sometime if I'm ever in danger and I don't happen to have my 380 on me. I would love to think that he would protect me. Now, my LGD, she has Akbash, Pyrenees, and we don't know what else is in her, but she's an Akbash Pyrenees mix, and she is very sketchy. She looks like a yellow Labrador. She's not. That's the Akbash in her. She holds a lot of her mama's gene or her daddy's genes with the Akbash. But you don't pet her. If she doesn't know you, you do not pet her. She's never growled at a person that I know of, but this dog would rip you to shreds. She may let you hurt me and just get you as you're leaving because she's not real confrontational. I don't know that I have a dog that would protect me. That's kind of why I have to carry a 380. Can't count on the dogs. Uh, Pyrenees? A Great Pyrenees Shepherd mix? What kind of shepherd? Because I know there are a lot of shepherds over in the Italy, Switzerland, Turkey, Greece kind of area. There's some shepherds that are amazing, really good guardian dogs. Oh, someone called Pegasus called me charming. That's sweet. Yeah, 420. I believe you on that one. Guardian dogs have it in them to protect. Like our female, she protects. We had a lamb with a broken leg, and she wanted to protect him from her brother, who had no intention of hurting him. She would protect baby goats from their own mothers. It's so in her to protect. But as far as protecting me, she would protect the grandchildren. In fact, she and her brother big time protected the grandchildren. I You can't get a better dog for grandkids than an LGD. Oh my gosh. And they're amazing. It's just in their brain. Now her brother, the one that died, he protected me. He would put his body between me and a threat. And the threat could be our Catahoula when he was a puppy, just being a stupid idiot and throwing his 70-pound body all around and just knocking people over like they were bowling pins. He would stand between me and that dog, and he would just put his head down. There was a real low growl, and he would aim it at the Catahoula puppy. And when the Catahoula heard it, he would just snap to not attention, but his whole body would shrink, and he would just walk away. Like he totally took that dog seriously. So he would protect me big time with teeth and snarling. If the goats came running toward me, the goats and the sheep, he would position his body between me and them. And they knew not to swarm me. So he would protect them, but he would protect me from them if he thought they were going to swarm me. He was a great guy. The last comment said, just dumb. Are you weird? Please answer, just asking. I'm weird. I'm not normal. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. I'm a weirdo. Absolutely. Hey, Mr. Zane. You know, when I was a kid, my dad had a whole load of sand delivered to our yard because he was going to put in a new rock driveway. And my girlfriend and I, we didn't have a TV. That's part of the reason I'm so weird. My friend and I decided, since the sand was wet, I guess it had rained. It didn't rain a lot, but it had rained. We carved a horse out of the sand. And someone called the newspaper and they took a picture and we made it on the front page of the community section or whatever. I would pack a lunch and sneak out my bedroom window, even though I didn't need to, just to do it. I would tie a rope on my headpost, my bed, and shimmy down the rope because I was on the second floor. And my friend would do the same thing. And like we made our lunch in the kitchen and made a ton of noise, no doubt. My parents were awake, but we just had to be sneaky, like Tom Sawyer, I guess. And then we would go spend the whole day on the mountain eating. I knew about, we were foragers. So even as little kids, 12, 13, we would forage food that we found that was edible. I mean, that's my Saturday. That was my Sunday. Or we'd ride our horses if we had horses. I think at that time we did. We both had horses. We were weirdos. We weren't normal. We had to make our own entertainment. No television. And my parents were functioning alcoholics, they called it. So Saturday and Sunday morning, they were probably sleeping off a pretty good hangover from the night before. So having me out of the house was a good thing. There was no giggling, there was no shrieking as teenage girls tend to do. There was no silliness, no door slamming, none of that. It was just a rope on the headboard and an open window. Oh, God, we were weird. We had so much fun. That's my dog scratching. That's her the jiggle of her tags. Hi, Mama. Actually, she's not a mama. Am I cool? I doubt that I'm cool, sweetie. If I asked my daughters, am I a cool mom? I think they would laugh me right out of the room, and that's fine with me. I do ride a motorcycle, so when I rode my motorcycle to work as a teacher, the fourth, fifth, and sixth grade boys lost it. I think they thought I was cool because I showed up to work on a Harley. I think they thought that was pretty cool. German Shepherds are awesome. Now, they can't protect against a pack of wolves, but I guess if you had enough, you'd want to have an Anatolian Shepherd, maybe two Anatolian Shepherds and some Pyrenees and some shepherds, some German Shepherds. You need to have a lot of dogs to keep them safe if you guys have wolves. I didn't know you guys had wolves. Dang, they're introducing wolves in Oregon, Colorado, probably Montana, Wyoming. I don't know about Arizona and California, but they're introducing wolves back into the environment. And there are kids that can't walk to the bus stop anymore because they're being stalked by packs of wolves. That doesn't make the news. And environmentalists and wolf-friendly people will tell you that's not true. Really? Well, then why are there no children at the bus stops anymore? I'll tell you why. Because they're terrified. God, people are so naive. Well, the wolves wouldn't eat a kid. Are you kidding me? Children are a lot slower than sheep and goats. Good golly. 420 gamer, you know what? I agree. I'm absolutely going to be a cool nana. Not dire wolves. In fact, the dire wolf hype is actually a lie. The dire wolf was not recreated. They took some DNA from different canines, and I don't know if there's just regular dog. They created a wolf hybrid that looks like a dire wolf. It's not as big as a dire wolf. They haven't got the size down yet, but it is a light colored wolf. Thankfully, it's not truly a dire wolf, but you're not going to hear that from them. And it is a hybrid, so I don't know if it's able to reproduce. But I could see these morons releasing it into society, not into the city where all these people live that are so into this thing, but into the country where those country folk don't matter anyway, right? Because they talk funny and they vote wrong. Yeah, that's about as political as I'll get. I can't stand the wolf people releasing these wolves. All of these people are losers. Keho Haryan. Yeah. One of my children just recently got a German Shepherd puppy. They're hoping he can pass service dog training to be a PTSD dog for their family. They have a reason for that. So he's begun his training. He's not very old. He's just the goofiest guy. He's got big paws. He's probably going to be close to 100 pounds. I'm looking at my livestock guardian dog down there. She was real good at chasing foxes, bobcats, coyotes. We had a mountain lion nearby, but it never bothered us because we had donkeys. They kept the mountain lion away. It was a tenth of a mile one night when I was out on a walk. It was a tenth of a mile away from our place, according to Google Maps. But I wasn't there at the time, and it was the one time I went for a walk in the evening with no gun. Took my grandkids for a walk. And when I got home, my husband said, "Did you take your gun?" And I said, "No." And then I went on Facebook and looked, and there had, like, in the 20 minutes previously, there had just been a mountain lion sighting a tenth of a mile away from us. Never went on a walk without my gun again. Okay, let's see. I'm going back in the chat. Children have more brain and smartness, and wolves come back. Plus, wolves were sometimes hunted like wolves need to live too. Interesting thought. Yeah, wolves were hunted for their skins and to protect people and livestock. So that's just the way it is. Wherever humans go, it just is what it is. Let's see. Well, Kahuharian, the reason Black Frame keeps commenting is because he and I are kind of in a conversation. And y'all are very welcome to join in too. There was an occultist. I don't know who was an occultist. Did I miss something fun? What did I miss? Uh oh, no. Hulk Hogan professed faith in Christ months before he died. In fact, he said that one of the other wrestlers that he had hated when he was a wrestler, like they did not get along, he and this guy used to talk about the Bible quite a bit. Now, Hulk's wife was a Scientologist, not a Satanist, a Scientologist. Huge difference. But apparently, according to someone close to them, she had also recently or at some point become a Christian. So, yeah, not a Satanist. He was a believer, and I think she is a believer in Christ. But yes, she was a Scientologist. Her parents are very famous Scientologists, or at least in the Scientology community. Her family is very well known and revered. With Andre the Giant, yeah. Trey, yeah, true. Let me just go down here. The things that are highly esteemed among men are abominations to the Lord under duress. That's true. Yeah, you have to be careful who you esteem or what you esteem. I don't even esteem pastors and ministry leaders and church leaders. I've met too many wolves in the hen house, so to speak, right? Too many of those creeps in the church. Let's see. So, like, y'all can't be getting mad. FX bite dits. I can get mad if I want to. It pisses me off that people are releasing wolves into society because here's the thing. These professors and these environmentalists and these do-gooders, they don't live where they're releasing these wolves. They release them into other people's world and say, deal with it. Just turn in your receipts to the federal government and they will reimburse you for the loss of your cow. Okay, let's talk about the fact that it took them 2 hours to kill that cow while they were ripping her calf out of her while she was in labor. Let's talk about the fact that they leave these maimed and wounded horses and cattle and sheep and goats just scattered around. They'll do a mass killing just to teach their babies how to hunt. But it's not a quick death. My bullet is a quick death. And then I would skin it and send that hide off to a processor. And I would have it in my living room as a trophy because I don't like wolves. They're fine. I don't care if they're wherever they are naturally. That's fine. But society has grown up around where they used to be, and I will never be a wolf person. Ever. I only had to put up with one coy wolf. No. So you can say whatever you want. At some point, I'll just put you on timeout because your BS doesn't make any sense. You want to go live with wolves? Go live with wolves. I highly encourage you to do that. But I think you're probably a coward. Let's see. What are we jabbering about here? Stuart Little. Stuart Little. I don't know what that means. Oh, with a Brazilian butt lift. Oh, that's creepy. Yeah. The steroids make you a different person. And I think he was probably much better once he got off the steroids. Anybody has to be. You got to meet him 3 weeks ago. Cool. Did you have to pay for like an autograph or something? Do you know? Or did you just meet him in a bar? Because I know he and his wife hang out in the Clearwater area. 420 Gamer, they should be introduced into the neighborhood where these people live who want to release them into other people's neighborhoods. I said it, and it's true. They, do I pray? I pray, my love. Yes, I do. Oh, brother. Valen edits. You have Google for a reason. Look it up, sweetie. Oh, you met him at his shop. Oh, did he have a shop? Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. I'm glad he had a shop. I feel bad for his wife. They've only been married, what, a year? Not even a year, something like that? My favorite Bible verse, Acts 26:25a. I am not insane, most excellent Festus. I relate to that because the believers at the time were being told that they were acting like they were drunk or crazy because they were praising the Lord. And no, Paul replied, I am not insane. His daughter did not approve of his marriage. I think he had multiple marriages, right? I mean, like he had almost a handful of marriages. And when you're a kid growing up with that, I mean, obviously her mom and dad lived together when she was little. And if he was on steroids and all hopped up on his own celebrity, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just supposing. I was with someone on steroids. I know how that is. And he was all hopped up on his own importance because of who his family was. I'm not saying Hulk was, I'm saying the guy I was with was. If a child in that situation, it would be very, very toxic and scary, really scary. And then there's the divorce, and that's toxic. And then there's the new stepmom, and then there's the fighting and the divorce and the new stepmom. And when kids go through that several times, at some point they just have to say, enough. I've had enough. I can't be around it. I can't do it. You do you. Maybe someday we can talk. And it's really sad that they did not reconcile. But if his children are believers, I don't know. They will see their dad again and they will see him in perfect form, nothing like the Hulkster that we all know, and they will have the perfect relationship. So that's something to look forward to. Yeah, four divorces, maybe 5 wives. I don't know, whatever it was. I remember because I follow some of the anti-Scientology people on here, and I remember one of them was talking about his girlfriend, and she was trying to get him involved in Scientology. She was taking him to events and things. And that is a big feather in her cap. As a Scientologist, if she could have brought Hulk Hogan into Scientology, she would have had star power. Like she would have been so important. Her parents would have been so important. So it's nice to know that even though he did go to a few events with his girlfriend, friend slash wife, or her parents or something, he was just appeasing them because he did end up being a believer and not falling for the crazy of Scientology. Hey, Matthew, we do not talk about that. So I'm just going to put you on a quick timeout, Matthew, just 5 minutes. And when you come back, you don't need to say stuff like that, okay? We're not getting into that. Right now, we're talking about Hulk Hogan. Hey, 420 Gamer and wife, thank you. I am taupe. Do we agree I'm taupe? Come on now. I'm beige. I'm very white in the front. That drives me crazy. I pull my hair back in a ponytail and I look like I'm 85 years old. Anyway, I stopped coloring it probably in 2018, maybe. Maybe. And it takes a long time for my hair to grow out because it's so long. It's usually longer than it is right now, but I get tired of it and cut it off. And then COVID hit, and my roots were already grown out. Maybe it was 2019 when I stopped coloring it because it grows about 6 inches a year. My roots were right about here. And I'm an actress, so I have to look like my headshot. So I got some temporary hair dye, brown, and it's supposed to last for like 10 shampooings or something. And I used that once because the first shampoo, my roots were purple. And by like the third shampoo, My hair was pink, except the part that was still dyed brown was brown. But my hair went from brown for one day to purple and then pink. I was that lady. So when COVID hit, all my friends had to stop dyeing their hair. Now I only did mine in the sink at home. I didn't ever pay anyone to color my hair. It was a really bad dye job. Ugh, whatever. I was mostly only background anyway, so it didn't matter. But my last role that I did in a movie was Lost Outlaw. I'll type that in. You guys can watch that too. Let's see. I play one of the lead characters. And if my hair had been dyed, I probably wouldn't have gotten cast. Lost Outlaw movie. I actually play a lead, like I said. I'm Kate. Let's see, where's that? Oh, come on now. I'm having a hard time typing. I play Kate in Lost Outlaw. It's a movie. If someone's in a relationship with an abusive partner, but she had a thing for me, do you think it is right I sweep her off her feet and treat her right? Should I fight for her or find someone else? That sounds like a Hallmark movie. Those movies are never accurate. If she's into abusive partners, it's going to take her a really long time to stop making bad choices. Just speaking from experience. Mr. Johnson, I'm going to block you. No, I'm going to put you on timeout for 30 minutes and I'll be gone before then. I am a Christian. Yes, I am. So, yeah, you say she is in an abusive relationship. Here's what no one helped me out when I was in it. Nobody knew. I didn't tell people. I was embarrassed. I was scared. I didn't even know what was going on with me. I really did not understand it. But I know someone who was in an abusive relationship and she worked with someone who had been a counselor for domestic violence survivors. And she recognized things in this woman and it was things like canceled girl dates or whatever. You know, when women get together and go shopping or whatever. I never did it, but yes, a lot of women do. Making excuses. When they had people over, he just sat in front of the TV and played his games. He never interacted with other people unless they wanted to play the game with him. He never talked to anybody, never helped her with anything around the house. And this friend told her one day at work, she just said, if you ever need to hide, he doesn't know where I live. That was true. So my daughter knew she had someone she could go to if she needed to. And that's exactly what she eventually did. Yeah. I would say no sweeping. I mean, I'm sorry, Anthony Espinoza. I understand your heart, but if she's in an abusive relationship, it's going to take a really long time for her to find herself. Be there for her, I suppose. But someone like that, that's a tough one. She needs to know that there's a safe place for her. The best thing you can do is point her in the direction of someone who is a safe person. It shouldn't be a man. You shouldn't try to rescue her. That's the hard part. You want to rescue her. I get it. There might have been people who wanted to rescue me, but I had to know that I needed to get out and I had to do it on my own. Obviously the police weren't going to help me. And my stinking roommate didn't help me much, but I knew how to change a lock. I didn't change the lock. I just rekeyed it. And I don't even know if you can still get rekey kits at the grocery or at the hardware store. I taught all my girls how to rekey a lock. In fact, we bought a house. No, we didn't buy a house. We inherited a house. And we knew there were keys all over the neighborhood because the woman who had lived there was very, very old. She was, gosh, late 80s, early 90s. And she lived alone. So certain neighbors had keys. So when we inherited the house, my daughter and I rekeyed the lock. And we would come to the house and notice that things were a little bit out of place, but we couldn't really say. We knew someone was coming to the house and going through things. So we asked the family members, hey, have you been there? No. Have you been there? No. Well, one of the neighbors said, oh, yeah, so-and-so has been there. And so we asked so and so, have you been in the house? No. Well, she was looking for things. She was pilfering through her dead relatives' things, looking for things. And the weird thing is, my husband would have given her whatever she wanted. But because she lied to us, we rekeyed the lock. So she shows up one day, and the neighbors, it was a cul-de-sac. Everybody saw this happen. Her husband pulled up. She didn't drive. Her husband dropped her off. He stayed in the car. It disgusted him. He told someone he was really upset that she was doing this because we were trying to figure out who was going through the house. I mean, we really needed to know. If she had said it was me, I'm looking for this item, and this item, my husband would have given them to her. He would have said, okay, we'll keep our eye out, or we're going to be there next weekend. Why don't you come over? We'll go through some boxes. It would have been handled very maturely and very fairly. We didn't need all of her stuff. She shows up. She gets out of the car. She went to the door. She put the key up to the lock, tried it, didn't work, tried it again, didn't work, tried it again, didn't work, went around back. The back patio door was locked. So she called my husband. Hey, is there something wrong with the lock at the house? And he said, well, yeah, Nana's Ranch rekeyed it because somebody was getting in there and we didn't know what they were doing and nobody would tell us. So we just changed the lock. She said, oh, well, I was just over there checking on the cats. There were two cats. We had a pet sitter going to that house twice a day. We were paying more than $400 a month for a pet sitter to go to that house twice a day. And this lady hated those cats. It was well known she hated those cats. She was not there to check on the cats. She was there looking for this thing and that thing and that thing, which my husband did end up giving her when he found them. But she never had a key to the house again. So, yeah, we change locks. We're good at that. Okay, Bora, you are being an idiot. So you've now been hidden from the channel. You can type all you want. Nobody can see it. You'll be the only one. So you can be as nasty as you want. I don't really care. Name a Minecraft item for an edit. I have no idea. A glutton feeds your glutes. Is glutton feeds your glutes? I don't understand that. How good is your head? Okay, you're going away. You have been hidden. You can ask all kinds of questions. He see all. You can be nasty. I have not read the Quran. I have read parts of the Quran. And I have a friend who is I don't know if he's a scholar on the Quran, but he has studied it heavily, heavily, heavily. And he leans toward the original version of the Quran, not the one that's out there now. So he actually recommends the original version of the Quran. If you're going to read anything, read the original. That's what he says. It has been heavily, heavily edited over the decades. So there you go. We are listening about your celiac. Yes. Gluten, Gluton. Okay, glutton is a different word. I'm sorry, sweetie. Gluten feeds your glutes. Glutes, it's a muscle, right? Your glutes. I was a bodybuilder 43, 42, 41 years ago. It's been a long time. I don't want hermit crabs. They're adorable. I love them. They're so cute, but no, I don't want any. Let's see. Going back up to look for any perverts. Cookie dough or dildo? I don't know. Oh, you know what? Okay, you're going away. You are actually hidden. There you go, darling. But you got me to say it, so points for your team. I read it out loud, and that's exactly what you wanted. I blocked Johnson because I probably put him on timeout. He said something stupid. Trust me. I recognize stupid when I see it. Thanks for committing to Baphomet. Don't know what that means. I used to catch hermit crabs at the beach when I was a little girl. And they had people that would paint them and then you could buy them in pet stores. I don't know if I like that, but they're cute. But I mean, you have a hermit crab that lives in the ocean and it crawls around on the rocks during low tide and has a wonderful life, and then you put it in a bowl that's about, that big at the biggest and make it live the rest of its life there. I don't think so. I think that's kind of rude. Wow, it's amazing how much those people were commenting before I got them out of here. But again, you made me say it. There you go. There we go. You are hidden forever too. But you can make all kinds of nasty comments and ask me all kinds of questions, and you're the only one that can see them now. So you guys, knock yourselves out. All you perverts in here, knock yourself out. I highly encourage you to do that. Be as rude as you think you should be. And then you can be embarrassed about it when you aren't 12 or 13 anymore and you actually grow a pair, or they drop when your voice isn't still way up here. I'm going to type something nasty on the computer and all my friends are going to giggle with me. Yay. I don't know who Buff Vomit is. Uh, I do believe the God of the Bible. I do. And, Christ is mentioned in the Quran. And the original version of the Quran is very eye-opening, at least according to my friend. And I want him to have a YouTube channel because he's so knowledgeable. I mean, like, he has been on, what's the term? Multiple presidents of the United States have brought him into their, I don't know, cabinet. He's a very, very intelligent man, super intelligent. Mr. Spooky, I don't know what you're referring to, but if it's nasty, I'll just delete you. I don't know who that is. The name you know what? I'm just gonna make that person go away because they're just being weird. I'm gonna actually hide them from the channel forever. As much as I like chatting with people, I don't like chatting with idiots or creeps or perverts. I'm not into it. And I always picture these people as being like 13 years old, like my grandson, just being an idiot. Let's see. Dude, lying to you. Please delete me. I don't know what that means. Oh, my love, thank you so much. Hi, Infa. You saw my story time. It's very nice. Thank you. Glad you saw it. All right, you guys, I've been on here way too long. How long have I been here? Shh, man, 2 hours. You guys are crazy hanging out with me that long. Not really. I love it. I like that we started with gluten-free, my food intolerances, and we got into the Israeli guy that asked me out on a date. That was funny. And then what did we move into? Wolves, exotic cars, domestic violence. Now we're talking about God. Oh, we talked about Hulk Hogan. I like that. Everything just kind of evolved, right? Just kind of morphed and wove around. That's cool. Well, my love, that person is gone for good. Gone for good. I got rid of him. Hey, Zhang Fu, I do not. I do not have an OnlyFans account. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do have, I signed up for it because there was a movie producer on there and she had a project that I had been part of. And she said there was a way to get to it through there. And I ended up losing interest in it. So I don't post anything. If I were to do an OnlyFans, it would be just like this YouTube channel. I would just be showing people how to do things and talking about life. So it wouldn't be anything where I would put up with perverts. And people would know before they paid for my content that I wasn't going to be putting up with perverts. So that would be fun. Hey, my love, you too, dear. Bless you, and you have a really good time. Have a great Sunday. Let's see. What is Bruce Carter saying? Is that a dude? I don't know, sweetie. I don't know who you're asking about. So I can't answer that question. Okay, you guys. How to cook? Absolutely. Some of the cooking stuff, because I'm a cook. I have to, because I can't eat in restaurants. I can't just go into the store when I travel. If I don't bring food with me, I can't just go into a store and buy stuff. I mean, I could go to the fruit and vegetable section. I can buy a bag of baby carrots, although those are so gross tasting. They're just big carrots ground into small pieces now. Ugh, they used to be real baby carrots. They're not anymore. And I can get some blueberries, a bag of apples. So I can eat a lot of fruits and I can eat some vegetables. Can't eat celery anymore. I'm allergic to celery. That's another thing. I can go to the ice cream section, but that's kind of hard to eat while you're driving a car. Although I do eat my mochi, my little ice cream mochis. I eat those while I'm driving. They're so good. I do some things like that. I boiled down the wild lettuce this year. I didn't end up using it. My husband is in pain all of the time, not just from me being annoying, but he's in real physical pain. And I boiled it for him and he said he didn't want it. So it's just in the fridge. I need to dump it out and clean the container. I had a cup of it as a tea one night and it made me kind of loopy, like, woo, that was wow, a little bit. Okay, but I wasn't in pain, so it didn't take any pain away. And then we also grow mushrooms. We have a shiitake mushroom project going on the ranch, which hasn't matured yet. We just did it a couple of months ago. We had a tree come down. It was a hickory tree came down during Hurricane Helene, and it was still usable for mushrooms. So we drilled around a little more than 450 holes in the logs that we cut from the tree, and we put in the plugs with the spawn on them and then covered them with wax. And we're going to hopefully have a lot of shiitake mushrooms next year. That's what I'm hoping for. Massage therapy helps for a little while. Yeah. So does the CBD. It's going to be backwards for you guys, but we use the CBD from Treadwell Farms. It's a hemp salve and it's got mint. I'll type it in here because it's really good stuff and it's very inexpensive. I've had other CBD that's really expensive. Okay. You are spamming, so you are on timeout for 30 minutes. Go away. Okay, I do not have an OnlyFans. You guys quit asking. Okay, it is Treadwell Farms, and it's available online. And they have CBD and they have THC, but I don't do the THC because I carry a concealed weapon. And if I am involved in a shooting, which I hope to never be involved in, ever, they will run my blood to see if I might be under the influence of anything. And if I have THC in my system, that could be a legal issue. So I do not use their THC products, but they do have really good CBD products. I know it's backwards. I apologize. Okay, so Tutio, how did you say Diddy again? I'm just going to hide you from the channel. You don't ever need to come back. Actually, you can come back and you can do Diddy all day long. And you're the only one that's going to see it. So there you go. God, you really flooded the stream. How many trace amounts of the CBD? I used to know this because I looked it up a few days back, actually about a week ago. Let's see. I don't know. You'd have to go to their website and see what's in it. It says it is 600 milligrams, but I don't know if that's the whole container. Probably. Can see. Now this won't be backwards. Can't tell. It's a salve. It's not a cream. It's a salve. It's got kind of lumpy things in it. It smells really good because of the mint. And it helps. It helps a lot. And that's just a good grief. You guys are jerks. Okay, you're on timeout for 30 minutes. And yeah, did you guys just swarm me or what? Okay, there we go. Not if I'm carrying 420, no. I mean, I can own a gun. I can protect myself in my own home, but if I'm out in public, I can't have any THC in my system at all. So I have to be really careful. Everybody does. I know not everybody follows that, but most people who carry never get into a situation where they might have to, have a police investigation, which is good. A polite society is an armed society, right? And we shouldn't have to get into gunfights. Although in East Tennessee, oh, we were just in our bedroom one morning and we heard a We didn't live here at the time. We lived in a different house and it was on a different road and it had a really high, it was 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. And people would go through there going like 75, 80 miles an hour. It's crazy because they'd catch air. That's probably why they did it. There was a place where they would actually catch air. Well, we heard that one morning and it was just like, and then another one, and we didn't realize it, but it was a high speed chase. And they had a shootout just a little ways down from our house. The guy involved in that shootout came to our house the next day because we had a poor woman in a mental health crisis running around in her panties, talking to my duck, and she was in very bad shape. So they came to get her. I told them, "You're going to need to bring a bus. She's going to need to go to the hospital because she's not in her right mind." So they didn't just show up with the police. They also showed up with an ambulance and fire, paramedics and all that. It was quite exciting at our house. 2 days in a row, boom, boom. But the same cop that was involved in a deadly shooting the previous day came to our house for the poor 5150 lady who had to be taken on a mental health hold. It was very sad. Yeah, it was a bad day for her. I I can't imagine. I think she had a bra. She wasn't completely naked. She had a bra and panties. Yeah, for sure. Or tank top. She had a very sleazy, like little tiny tank top and panties. Short tank top because I could see her tramp stamp. And she had a purple thong underwear on and high-heeled sandals, apparently. My neighbor saw the high-heeled sandals. I didn't. She jumped our creek and fell in the creek. She was under my back deck talking to my duck. The police officer asked me if I'd gone out to talk to her. Well, I know. I told him, I said, I'm home alone with my dog, and the only thing I have to protect myself is a 380. And I know enough about people who are in a bad state of mind to know I don't want to get into a situation where I feel like I'm going to have to shoot her. So I am staying in my house. Thank you very much. Plus, I also had a stuffy nose, and I hadn't tested myself for COVID yet, but I did tell them, you can come to my house, but I have a stuffy nose and kind of a cough and a sore throat. I did not have COVID. Turned out later I didn't have COVID, but it was 2022, so people were still pretty COVID averse. Who's being stupid in my chat? Let's see. Nobody's being stupid. Yeah, Quintana, yes, at least she was wearing something. But I was concerned that she might have been trying to get away from someone. But when I heard her out back talking to my duck, his name was Goose. And his name was Goose because he was a fly boy. He liked to fly around the yard. So I named him Goose, not because he was a goose, but he was Goose from Top Gun, right? So she was in the under the deck, and I could hear her saying, "Hi, Goose. Hi, Goose." Well, he looks kind of like a goose because he's a Muscovy duck. If you look up Muscovy ducks, you'll see they're actually more closely related to a goose than they are a duck anywhere. They are their own species of waterfowl. They're called tree ducks, but we call them ducks. But they are more closely related to geese. They can't successfully mate with ducks and geese and create anything you can eat. I mean, breed, you can eat them, they're delicious, but they will create a hybrid, kind of like a horse and a donkey situation. Anyway, I told my husband, I said, she thought he was a goose. She was saying goose. And my husband goes, or she's been watching you. I hadn't thought about that. How many days was she out there in her bra and panties and her high heel sandals, which came off and were in our creek? I never did find them, but apparently she lost her sandals because when the police got there, she was barefoot. This poor lady, she was all torn up from going through the blackberry bushes, falling in the creek. She had to have been bruised and scratched. She was out of her mind. And where she came from? She came from the railroad tracks way up there, and there was nothing on the other side of the tracks. I mean, she was out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, man. I never went and found out what happened to her. She might have been escaping a very bad situation, but she was out of her mind. Poor girl. Yeah, go ahead and subscribe for sure. You liked my channel. Now I'm your subscriber. Bad comment. Never mind. We are all view. Thank you, Infa. Appreciate that. I appreciate the subscriber a lot. And I appreciate any thumbs up. I don't know where we are. Oh, we're on 67 thumbs up. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Lamdam. Hello. I care very much for people in mental states, in bad mental places. I've I've been in places that were not bright and shiny mentally. I've not been in places where I'm running around in my underoos talking to a duck under a strange lady's deck. That is a bar I hope I never reach. That's a bad one. But I certainly had compassion for her, and I did not want to confront her. Like I said, if she was going to be out of her mind, I would rather the police handle that and the paramedics and EMTs. I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I had to defend myself against someone who's completely out of her mind. That would be terrible. But my husband creeped me out when he said she's been watching you because where was he at the time? Oh, he was at the ranch. Our neighbor called him and said, "Y'all home? There's a lady in her bloomers running around your yard." Like, I guess she ran around the house 3 times. I didn't realize she did that. The neighbor watched it all. The neighbor was way back because we had about a half acre. The neighbor was way back, and she called my husband. She's running around in her bloomers, running around y'all's house. That's funny. What did she eat to be watching? Hi, Shy Bella. I know Jesus loves me. Absolutely, and I love him. Appreciate his sacrifice very, very much. What did she eat? Well, she could have been eating raw eggs from our duck coop. She could have been eating crawdads from the creek, vegetables from my garden. Fish from the creek, walnuts from the trees, little tiny pears from the pear tree. Pears were only about that big. It wasn't a very healthy pear tree. She could have had a pizza delivered. She didn't have a cell phone. The guy at 911, the dispatcher, cracked up because he said, he's on there asking all the questions while we're waiting for someone to show up. What's she wearing? I said, well, she's wearing a purple thong panties and whatever was on top. I'm thinking it was a bra. Maybe it was a sports bra. I think it might have been a sports bra because it wasn't just a little tiny bra. It was something else. Anything else you can tell us about her? Well, she's about, 5'5", probably 140 pounds. I said, oh, she has a tramp stamp tattoo. He busted up laughing, and then he had to pull it in, right? She did. Who else is running around my neighborhood in purple panties? You're going to see her. You will know who she is. There's no one else doing what this girl's doing right now. But he had to get all those things. Quintana, I cannot remember what the tattoo was. I think it was longer than a butterfly, but it might have had a butterfly as part of it. But it was across the road when I saw it. She was running away from my house, and she was climbing down in a tunnel under the railroad tracks at the time. That's when I saw it. Yeah. Hello, am I a queen? I don't think so. And I don't want to be a diva. I did used to have a license plate on my motorcycle that said drama queen. Not the whole word spelled out because it's too many letters. No, it was the license plate frame. That's right. It said drama queen on my license plate frame. So it was all spelled out. My brain, guys. And somebody saw it, and a guy, and looked at my husband and said, drama queen? Oh, I don't need any of that crap. My husband goes, no, she's not that kind of a drama queen. She's an actress. You actually have to pay her. I like that. Would you marry me? No, sweetie, I won't marry you. There you go. Someday I'll tell the story about somebody asking me to marry him. He didn't actually use those words. I'll tell that story sometime. Ezeldine. Hi. Yeah, having more than one husband at a time is kind of frowned on in the United States. I think in every other country in the world as well. I mean, there's some places where you can have more than one wife, but having more than one husband is no. And my husband wouldn't let you in unless you were really, really good around the ranch at building fences and building barns and slaughtering things when we need slaughtering done, and all of this stuff. You have to be really good with a bulldozer and the jackhammer and the backhoe, all that kind of stuff. You have to be really good. So, no, if you have a heavy equipment operator's license, we might interview you. Yeah, we might. We'd have to change religions, but yeah, can't be a Christian and have more than one husband. All right, you guys, I'm going to cut it off before I say something that gets me divorced. Sorry, I have asthma. You'll know that about my channel. I have asthma. Oh my goodness. Someone's coming to visit me. I just got a text message. Run away. That's another reason to say goodbye. Hello, Paramjit. Am I your mom? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm sorry, sweetie. All right, kids, y'all go out there and behave. And to all you that are typing nasty things that nobody can see, you guys just have a good time, okay? Knock yourself out. You just do all that stuff. Make yourself feel better. Get rid of all those urges. And it's starting to rain. Oh, gee. We're supposed to have thunderstorms, which means all three of my dogs are going to be huddled little piles of sadness. Thank you, 420 Gamer. Do come back and have your wife come back, and we'll be talking about other things. I'm a hustler? I don't think so. I don't like to hustle. I'm not much. I'm a terrible salesperson, unless I believe in the product, like this Treadwell Farms CBD salve. Totally believe in it because it works. I don't sell anything that doesn't work. All right, Art of Mind 559. Is that your area code, like Fresno, California? 559? Or beer? I think there's a 559 beer, if I remember right. Bye, y'all. Be safe. Okay? Be safe. Remember, Jesus loves you.